Right off, here we are at the beginning of 2020. And here in America, nobody believes Trump. Everybody knows he's a liar and a criminal. It's been shown that's who he is. So when he says anything in a statement, you know right away he's lying. Nobody believes him. Probably a poor fools who still cling to something like Fox News, the racists, the white supremacists, Christian extremists, those type of people who don't bother with anything otherwise. They might still, but they've heard it. Even they've heard it. Trump's a liar, criminal even. Been impeached. Dead to rights, got him dead to rights, and it's another scam, one of many. And there's many waiting for him after he gets out of, no matter when he gets out of, and I hope it's soon, he gets out of the office of president. We finally get rid of the slime and sludge of Trumpy boy out of the White House, out of the office of presidency. And we can get back to some reality, some international intelligence, and economy. I mean, you've heard it all. Trump's put all these farmers on welfare. Your American taxpayers are paying for the farmers to stay afloat to support Trump's business failure there with his tariff war type of thing. Well, now he goes out and kills this Iranian general and gives us all the stories about, oh boy, this Iranian guy, he was bad. Oh, he was causing trouble, he got to. And everybody knows. Look how desperate the Republicans and Trump are to avoid that final judgment in the Senate. This is all deflection. It's deflection. The 2020 election coming up, Republicans are desperate to deflect away from the reality of the vast criminality, ignorance, and failure of Trumpy boy. And the only way they can start a war. Start a war. Gin up and get them excited about a threat. Oh, get them fearful. Oh, geez, you work with Bush Cheney. Oh, yeah, they got you. The threat. Saddam Hussein over in Iraq. Oops. Well, don't look at Iraq, though. Republicans don't want you to look at Iraq, because then you got to say, well, wait a minute, Bush Cheney did that, and it's chaos today, even today, all these years later. It was a huge $1 trillion Republican fiasco and fraud to deflect attention away from the Republican agenda of corporate pollution and poison and domination over you, which is the real basis of Republican agenda. And to help with that deflection, of course, they bring in the right-wing nuts, the Christian extremists, fruitcakes, the racists, the Nazis and all those. They're all in the Republican Party. And that's kind of the noise and who they obviously are appealing to cover up their corporate domination and criminality over you. Well, it didn't work with Trumpy boy. He's such a fraud that he's been his whole career, It's nothing new here. He got snagged. He got convicted in the House, impeached. All the data is there. In any trial, a person with that kind of evidence against him was guilty. And he is. No getting around it. Trump is guilty. But it's in the Republican Senate. And the Republican Senate and Republicans are saying, oh, geez, look how they're gonna have to dance around, deny facts, deny reality, deny that Trump is guilty, and by law, he needs to be convicted. And Republicans, they're dancing around mad. Do something. Don't let that happen. Or don't let the 2020 election happen at all. Or something. Get the people worked up so they'll look at something else and fear, fear, fear. Start a war. Deflect. Oh boy, run up that fear of Islam again, will you? Somehow, just do that again. That always works. Well, there you go. So Trump goes out and kills an Iranian general. Now, at the very same time, in Iraq, because this is where the murder happened, in Iraq, there's riots that have been going on in Iraq because the Iranian, and this after this collapse of the great fiasco of this Bush-Cheney disaster, even all these years later, the Iraqi people are still suffering from a lack of just these basic services like electricity. Americans blew up the electricity stations and whatnot in that stupid invasion. They blew up other systems of the infrastructure, and nobody rebuilt it. Haphazard, half-assed. It was just for the oil. They didn't care about the infrastructure. They ain't gonna spend the money. Just get that oil. That's what America was after. We found that out. Alan Greenspan, Republican, head of the Federal Reserve, openly stated, well, it's too bad, but, the reality is, Iraq invasion was all about the oil. Your sons and daughters got their arms and legs blown off for corporate oil profits. That's reality. And here's this country, the Iraq country, you laid waste to and destroyed, ripped out everything, and guess what? It's run now, trying to put in a democracy in there, you laugh, of course. It's now run by just really gangs. There really isn't any Iraqi government that's doing anything. It's all just these little tribes and these little territorial groups, and they're really like a bunch of gangs. And no matter what, there's still a lack of electricity, water supply, other systems in the desert. And the Iraqi people are protesting, rioting, demanding some change, and starting to demand that America gets the hell out. Isn't that something? America went in to save them. Oh yeah, we're getting rid of Saddam Hussein. Oh geez, he's bad. And he was. He was so bad, though, that Republican Ronald Reagan gave him military supplies. Yeah. And presidents down after that kept him going as well. Another example of America creating Frankenstein monsters and then having to deal with them. Well, so they got rid of Saddam Hussein. We're bringing in freedom to the Iraqi people. Oh, bullcrap. It was for the oil. And, as you can tell, when you look at the events in Iraq, there was chaos. And that still continues today. A great failure. And now the Iraqi people, they want the Americans out. the big American liberator, is actually nothing but the chaos generator and profit extortionist. Just like Trump. Just like all Republicans. Now the Iraqi people want them out, want the U.S. out. And right there during all these protests, been going on, at the time of this recording, been going on for months already. Oops, Trumpy boy, desperate, and the Republicans desperate. Deflection, fear-mongering. Deflect from impeachment, deflect from trial in the Senate, deflect from the 2020 election. Think of something, do something. Don't let it show the Republicans are all slime like Trump. Start a war. Or at least bring up the old reliable fear of Islam, Islamic terror. And folks, you're not going to hear it on Fox News anything about the history. You're not going to hear it. Just gloss over that, because if they bring up the real history, you find out America was the disaster. America was the liar, the hypocrite, the enemy. You'll hear that, back in 1953, Republican Eisenhower overthrew the Iranian government to put in a dictator, a king, the Shah of Iran. And to keep the Shah in power, the U.S. trained and supported this terrorist police force, secret police force, the SAVAK, S-A-V-A-K, whose business was to go out and murder and torture Iranian citizens who protested against America having overthrown their country and put in this dictator. There's the history. There started the chaos that continues today. America did it. And even back then, the motivation? Why did America do it? Why did Eisenhower do it? To get the oil. To control the oil. Not about human rights, not about anything. Oh no. America the great hypocrite. And here we are today, still living out that legacy that was generated in a grand mistake back in 1953 in Eisenhower. Republican again. And this time it's even worse of a slime. Trump. And the whole Republican Party. Desperately looking around. What can they do to avoid the trial in the Senate? The demand to follow the law that would convict Trump. No, hands down, no problem. He'd be convicted. And in the public then, would say, oh, boy, look at these Republicans. They're not going to follow the law. They're not going to follow the facts. They're not going to follow the true evidence right there. No, they aren't anything about family values. They aren't anything they claim to say in their political propaganda. And they are all about Trump slime. They are all Trump. So desperate, boy, they're desperate. So what do? Start a war. Deflect. Scare them, scare the public. Fear. The old technique. Let's see if the American public falls for it at all this time.